The Quiet After the Fall by Lolette, read by The Devil's Advocate 18. Summary. Stay, please, just a little longer. After corruption tears through him, Chuuya wakes up in a hospital, disoriented, hurting, and drowning in fear he doesn't fully remember. Panic claws up his throat, memories blur, and nothing feels safe. Except for one person he least expects. Dazai, a quiet, steady presence Chuuya can track through the haze, becoming a tether keeping him from slipping under, the quiet anchor in a room full of ghosts. The moment suspends between fear and relief, where the fragile trust they're building slowly, silently, stubbornly, finally begins to show its shape. Everything hurts, and not the good kind, not the kind that left Chuuya pleasantly wrecked after a fight, muscles sore, limbs humming, the clear burn that meant he had gone in hard and won harder, and walked out alive. No, this is worse. Pain pulsed sharp beneath his ribs, flared down his arms and legs in waves, raw, electric, and underneath it all, a crushing weight like gravity had doubled just for him. His breath stuttered, shallow and unfocused, as he clawed his way up from the darkness. A ceiling swam into view, white, too white. Chuuya blinked against a glare, eyelids dragging like lead, fragments of the night pressed in. Battle heat, the roar of corruption tearing through him like fire in rotten veins. And then a hand had caught him before disappearing into the void. Dazai, that damn bastard. In the shreds of memory, Chuuya saw him standing there, watching him fall apart with something almost reverent in his eyes. Reverent? What the hell was reverent about that? Something cold pricked under his skin. Machines beeped somewhere too close, too steady, the sound threading straight through his skull. The sheets were stiff, scratchy. The air smelled wrong, sterile, chemical, sharp enough to sting. A hospital. Chuuya's pulse spiked so fast it hurt. His fingers curled into the sheets, weak but desperate, knuckles trembling. His body reacted before his mind caught up, breath shortening, throat tightening. A sick rush of déjà vu made his stomach drop. He knew this kind of quiet, knew these lights, knew the way the world felt when you woke up somewhere you shouldn't be, somewhere people had dragged you once before, drugged, restrained, helpless. He didn't remember the details. He remembered the fear. He tried pushing himself up, couldn't. Tried steadying his breathing, couldn't. Tried to think, absolutely couldn't. Panic surged, hot and choking, swallowing the edges of the room. His vision stuttered, the ceiling blurring, the fluorescent lights flickering like they were laughing at him. He was not going under again. He was not letting anyone near him again. Not like that. Not ever. A shadow moved at the periphery of his blurred vision, long, lean, familiar in a way that cuts through the panic like a blade, perched in a cheap plastic chair like a throne he'd claimed just to irritate someone. And even half-conscious, half-drowned in terror, Chuuya knew that silhouette anywhere. Dazai. He was slouched back, humming under his breath as he tore the seam of Chuuya's coat into vaguely resembling order. Chuuya's hat rested on the bed beside him. His glove sat folded, properly, neatly, on Dazai's knee, as if the bastard had taken his time with it. When he noticed movement, Dazai glanced up. Well, look who finally decided to rejoin the land of the conscious. A lazy grin, a teasing lilt. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty. You drool, you know. Chuuya tried to scowl, but it came out a wince. Shut up. Eloquent as ever. Dazai set the coat aside with exaggerated care. I'll grab the doctor. You're overdue for a check now that you're... No. It slipped out too fast, too raw. Dazai stopped mid-movement, hands still on the chair's armrest, one eyebrow raising. The teasing eased, subtle but enough for Chuuya to feel the drop in the air. Chuuya swallowed, throat tight. He hated this place, the smell of antiseptic, the beeping, the fluorescent buzz, the memories tucked back in his skin like splinters. His voice cracked without his permission. I just don't. He shut his eyes, jaw grinding. Not yet. Dazai stayed utterly still, no quips, no smirk, just quiet consideration. Chuuya shifted weakly, fingers clutching the thin blanket. Just stay, please, just a little longer. The moment stretched, fragile, uncomfortable, too intimate. Chuuya braced for mockery, a smug remark, the little jab about fear, but instead, Dazai exhaled something soft. Barely a sound, more like surrender. He hooked his foot around the leg of the chair and dragged it closer with a slow scrape of plastic on tile, inch by inch until his knees brushed the side of the bed, close enough that Chuuya could feel his presence, warm and steady, not looming but there. Dazai leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his voice low and quiet in a way he only ever seemed to use on Chuuya. Okay, he muttered. I'll stay. Chuuya's breath eased, just a fraction, enough for his death grip on the blanket to loosen. Dazai didn't touch him, didn't crowd, just sat close enough that Chuuya could track him in the haze, close enough that the fear ebbing through his ribs could latch onto something real. Hurts, huh? He asked. Chuuya let out a shaky, humorless huff. Feels like I got hit by a damn meteor. You kind of were one. Fuck off, he muttered again, but weakly, almost grateful. A faint smile curved the corner of Dazai's mouth, but the edges held no mockery, just softness, something careful. Chuuya's eyes slipped half-closed. Breathing settling into something steadier. The panic didn't vanish. It still burned low and sour in his ribs, but with Dazai right there, close enough to feel, close enough to track, it finally stopped swallowing him. Dazai stayed where he was, silent, watchful, a barrier between Chuuya and the room, between him and the memories, trying to drag him under. His presence was strange, kind of tether, annoying, familiar, and inexplicably steady. For once, Chuuya didn't fight the comfort, didn't hide the tremble in his fingers, didn't push Dazai away. He let himself breathe, let himself need the closeness just for a moment. Thanks, he whispered, the word cracking like something pulled loose from his chest. Dazai's expression shifted, barely, but enough, a softening at the edges, a quietness that didn't feel like pity or victory, but recognition. His reply came low, steady, almost gentle. Anytime, Chuuya. He didn't say it like a joke, didn't say it like an obligation. He said it like a promise, one he had no intention of breaking. Before Chuuya could second-guess it, before he could brace for mockery or distance or the usual retreat, Dazai angled the chair just a little closer. He settled in like he was prepared to stay for hours, knees brushing the side of the bed, eyes fixed on Chuuya with a wary sort of protectiveness he'd never admit to. The room still smelled like antiseptic, the lights still buzzed, the machines still beeped too steadily, but the terror eased. The walls didn't feel like they were closing in anymore, because Dazai was there. And as long as he stayed, Chuuya wasn't alone in the dark. For the first time since waking, Chuuya let his body go slack, exhaustion pulling heavy in his bones, panic ebbing through the pain to turn dull around the edges. He drifted, not quite asleep, not quite awake, held together by the thin thread of Dazai's presence. And Dazai didn't move, didn't tense, didn't look away. He kept vigil, quiet, steady, unshakable, as if daring anything in the room to try to touching Chuuya without his permission. And Chuuya, finally, reluctantly, let himself believe he was safe, at least for now, at least with him. This was The Quiet After the Fall by Let's, read by The Devil's Advocate 18. Thank you to the author for giving me permission to record this wonderful fic. If you want to go read the fic, it is on AO3, linked down in the description. Go give the original author some love. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time.